Just going to say first and foremost, this video was requested for a long time, and I'm very sorry for being so late on this one. Zmodeller brush and bevel actions. BZM to bring up your Zmodeller, and you notice here we have a cube with main faces. Video is pretty much covering bevel actions in ZBrush. First, I'm going to bring this down to a smaller number, so work generally with this. Of course, with the subdivisions. Work. So, there. So, these are not different polygroups. I'm going to turn it all into one polygroup so it's easy to work with. So, of course, you know how Zmodeller brush works. If you don't, I'm just going to go over a quick thing. Polygon actions are essentially actions, all separate within the top section. It's essentially what you're trying to achieve. Bevel, of course. Target, essentially either going to be faces, polygroups, so on and so forth. And modifiers is modifying to the tool that you're currently on, and you notice that each tool has a different set of modifiers that you can, right? Some doesn't have any, some has very few. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't actually fully explain this. So, the major thing you should try to go down as far as when it comes to your workflow and your model is if you need to work with polygroups, or if you need to work in masks. And the reason why that is depending on the type of operations you need to transform your model into the exact shape or form you want to get to, almost drastically comes into the shape of if you're going to be using masking to help you achieve ignoring certain actions, or polygroups. You need to work with certain parameters and tools in ZBrush. ZBrush, when it comes to like Zmodeller to, ZRemesher, also Zmodeller, Dynameshing, polygroups can play a big form to that, even helps in for group loops and panel loops, right? Versus masking, which kind of more benefits for Dynameshing, very small aspects of ZRemesher, more for decimations and tessellations. You can get a lot from masking, really also a lot from polygrouping. But simply put, Zmodeller works best with polygroups versus masking. You can do it with masking, but polygrouping is actually where you want to be at. Polygrouping helps edge flows when it comes to ZRemeshing, Dynameshing, because if they are within different polygroups, you can essentially do parameters based on just those, or your edge flow can go based on just your polygroups and will not be interrupted going into another polygroup. This helps with facial features like eyes, nose, upper lips, lower lips, jaws, typology when you're trying to separate out your pecs and arms, or your deltoids, biceps, triceps, forearms, so on and so forth. Polygrouping with ZRemesher works exceptionally well for that. Beveling with the Zmodeller, it's no exception. So, going into this, we're trying to do a low poly while keeping shape, giving it a slight roundness to its edges. If I was to try and go in here one by one with a bevel tool, really doable. I can essentially go to the edge and just bevel it, because I am on, here we go. Because I'm on edge loop complete, it's doing just the singular complete edge loop. You notice it's not going for the entire grouping. Sorry, it's not going for the entire model. It's just going for an edge loop. And that's because it's, set down to an edge loop complete. If I was to do a poly loop, you notice how I'm getting still a loop. If I want to do just a edge loop partial, it's not exactly reading it. Or perhaps it has. Who knows, right? As far as we can tell, nothing's happening. So, working with polygroups though, on a face operation, you can still do a bevel and it will read it within the edges that's the face you're hovering. So you can shortcut this by doing a polygroup all, mousing over a face, and every polygroup that's attached to this face that connects to those edges, the entire model, or everything that's attached to the polygroup is easily demonstrated with the cube, as you can tell here, right? And you can try to just keep it with short ones. That going on. Ideally, seeing how we're trying to go for soft but still semi-sharp, do a small step for min. Changing, again, the modifiers to 4 rows. Leaving it on linear, you'll get that effect, kind of, right? Do it once on the poly group. Because it's going by all polygroups, if I need to, I can go into this one, which is this other polygroup. I can perform it again and give it that brownness but sharpness. Hope that helps.